Alright, Chris here, and today we have a need to do a board swap on this vintage Seagate ST-251 hard drive. So first things, this is our test setup here. We have XT clone set up with a floppy controller and a hard drive controller. And our hard drive, we're plugged into a CGA monitor on the shelf. And so let's go ahead and give this thing a try. Gonna hear it spin up. So the drive just initialized. It spins up and makes some noise. That's perfectly normal. Here's the computer booting. I can hear the hard drive. There we go. So we just booted off of this ST-251 drive. You can hear it running here. Quick directory, you see the flashing light there. Tells us there's drive access. There's our directory. Alright, so we know that the drive is working. Now in your case, you might be starting with a drive that doesn't work, which is fine. The procedure for doing the board swap is pretty simple. And right here on the back of the drive, it's kind of hard to get in the camera view here, but we have 3 screws. There's one here, we have one right here, and there's another one right here. So let's get those 3 screws out. That's the first step. And also, if your drive has the faceplate on the front, you'll need to take the faceplate off before doing this board swap. There's 2 screws that hold the faceplate on. Okay, so there, all 3 of those are removed, and we see that the board is now free. Now I don't want to pull up on this yet. So on the front of the drive we have this ribbon cable, and our goal here is we don't want to really pull or twist this cable. We want to be very gentle of this cable. This cable goes inside the drive, and it's what connects to the heads to read the data. So this is important. That faceplate normally sits here. There's 2 screws, one on each corner. And you could take that faceplate off. You have to take the faceplate off if you have it on here. So the first thing, there's going to be 3 cables, and the first one is plugged right around here, and then the other 2 are right up here. It's the ribbon, and there's another one next to the ribbon cable. And I'll see if I can show you here as we gently lift the board up. Now I'm lifting it up like a hinge. See. I'm just letting the board hinge here on this side because I don't want to pull that ribbon cable. But you can see this connector right in there. See that? That is a connector, and it just slides to the back, slides in that direction. And I find that the easiest way to do it, see if I can do it on the camera here, is really just to get my finger in there and give it a push, and see, now it pops right off. You may need to get a little screwdriver in between that edge on the connector, but the good news is with that connector slid off, our board, let's see if I can get it in the view here. Sorry, it's a little tricky on the bench with the camera, but now let's see. There, that's better. So now when we can now turn this up like a hinge, and I'm still being very careful of this ribbon cable. I'm not pulling and twisting, but we have two connectors. We have a ribbon connector here, and again that one's simple and just slides off, and then we're left with this. And I find the best way to do this one is to simply pinch the sides of the connector, and I wiggle the board back and forth while holding that connector in place. And you can actually use this back edge of the drive as a nice flat surface for which to push that connector against while you wiggle the board out. So here we have it. This is a ST-251 control board. Of course, this one is a good one. And the procedure for reinstalling is literally just the same in reverse, except I like to start with this cable first, just because it gives me a little more room to move. This one, once we get the ribbon cable on, this one is real easy. You just give the board a push down. Again, using this as your backstop, we're going to hinge the board down into place. And our last trick is to get that cable here, this plug back in. And I find that I can slide my finger in there like that and can usually work it back on just like that. If you can see in there we go. So we're plugged back in again. The procedure is going to be the same basically for the other type of Seagate drives as well, of this 5.5 inch half height MFM, RLL versions. There's also the SCSI versions of these drives. And the procedure for the board swap is generally the same. All the models have some variation of those three connectors. They're all slightly different, like the ST-225s, which are a very common drive. These pins here, they're not 90 degrees that way. They actually come straight out of the board in that direction, which makes them actually a little easier. The ST-251 might be the trickiest, but that's it. Done. We just did the board swap on that ST-251. Now we'll plug it in and try it out here. Alright, we're back on the bench. We're going to plug in our ribbon cables, plug in our power, and let's turn on the power center, and here we go. Alright, good sign, we're spinning up. And the computer's booting on the screen here. We hear the initialization. And that's complete. And then let's just see if we get a boot here on the screen. I hear the drive access. And there's our command prompt. So that's how you do it. That's how you swap the board on one of these vintage drives. Hopefully that helps you out today, and I wish you the best of luck in getting your vintage drives up and running. Thanks.